I'm going to see if I can contact the
All right,
applicant.
I see Tim. Can
I'm
you hear
on.
me?
Yeah, that's better, Dennis.
Can you hear me? This is
Our
Russell.
applicant is
There's
on
the applicant.
voicemail.
Perfect.
Yeah. And
I was just going to do a quick call and see if you were able to get onto
Can
the
you hear me?
Zoom.
Anybody?
Yes,
Got it.
Dennis.
This is Dennis.
Danny, we can hear you. I'm not sure you can hear us, though.
All right.
Tim, when Danny called me a little bit ago, he suggested that maybe I might need to take.
Don, I can see you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
managed to hang up.
I don't think Dennis is hearing us.
Doesn't look like it.
Well, as the vice chair, if the chairman is not able to execute his duties, it does fall to you, Mr. Nye.
That's what he was saying. So let me call the meeting to order.
All right, that's 5:03.
I don't have any old business listed. Can we just go on to new business, Tim?
We need to do the approval of the minutes for February 9th.
Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes from the February 9th meeting? And if so, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Okay, JW, thank you. Do you want to do a roll call, Don? Yeah, you want me to call it out?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Go ahead.
All right. John Thermos?
Aye.
John Witherspoon?
Aye.
Don Nye?
Aye.
Lionel Lawson?
Aye.
And Dennis Chiklis? I'll put him down as abstain.
Can you call him on his phone, I wonder?
If I do, and it always has caused interference when we've tried to do that. So I think we'll move forward. Hopefully.
Go ahead. I'll try to call him while we're talking.
He will move us into be able to get back on. So as Don pointed out, there is no old business to address.
You can hear the conversation, but we can't hear you when you say something.
The next item on the agenda is under new business, number 1. I will introduce that for you. TMS number 12910110003, 105 Pine Valley Drive, zoned PUD, Planned Development District, owned by Russell and Ann Duell. Variance request to increase the permitted lot coverage limit from 35% to 41.8% for the addition of a back patio. And cover ordinance section 2.10. So as was stated in the staff report, the applicant is seeking the variance to allow the construction of the patio and cover at the rear of the house. Want to remind the board that as part of a variance, the state does require that an application meet all 4 criteria. Extraordinary conditions have to exist on the property. Other property do not generally have those same extraordinary conditions. Utilization of the property with the even application of the zoning ordinance will effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. And detriment, the approval of the variance will not cause detriment to or adverse effect to other properties. So staff feels that the applicant does not meet all 4 criteria and that a hardship is not present. Extraordinary conditions do exist on the property. That might be a typo. I'm sorry. At this time, there's just more coverage on the property than is permitted, which existed prior to the passage of the ordinance. It would be possible to reduce the lot coverage through the removal of some of the paving. And I'll bring up the plan. Other property in the area do have similar situations, but utilization of the property is not eliminated and will not be unnecessarily restricted if the homeowners are not able to build the covered patio. And then D, detriment could potentially be caused to other properties by the issuance of this variance on this property. By permitting lot coverage variances, the town will be contributing to the worsening of a lot coverage issue. Lot coverage contributes to the increase of runoff from properties and the speed at which that water runs off. This exacerbates the flooding issues that are existing throughout the area. Though there may not be flooding issues on this property, by continuing to approve lot coverage increases, it affects the overall area. So this is the property within Pine Forest, this Pine Valley Drive. As you can see from here, this is the zoning, Pine Forest Country Club. Close-up view of the subject property. And this, let's see if I can get this into full view for everybody. This is the what the applicant submitted for the permit. So this is their property, house, and associated lot coverage. So at this point, what I can do is turn it over to the applicant, and I can allow him to address any comments, questions, or concerns that the board may have.
Hey, Tim, this is Russ. Yeah, I've got a couple pictures to share, which would, I think, immensely help. How do I go about sharing?
Okay, so what I will do is I will stop sharing the packet, and then that should give you the ability to share your screen.
All right, can you see
Tim,
these?
I believe he has his video off. I don't know if that's going to affect it or not. But
Nothing's come up, Russ.
All right, hold on. Oh, I got to hit the share button. There you go. Now you should be able to see it. Okay. So I just want to make a couple comments here for the intent here and everything. I understand we are going over the 35%, but what we're looking to do is right now that this patio is currently down at grade, and what we really wanted to do was raise this up so when you come out, you're not stepping down. Part of it is as we get older, we thought it would be harder to use this area and wanted to be able to go straight out. I have older parents and kind of have realized that if you just have a very small step, that makes it still usable. With that in mind, while we're raising it up, right, we wanted to cover the patio, cover it so we could use it. And based on that, extend the current concrete about out halfway between these two windows here. So it ends up adding, I believe it's about 10 feet of concrete. So make that all raised, put a patio over the top of it, make it accessible as we grow older so that we can more easily get to it. With that in mind, I've got a picture here that I'll show you of the finished product so you can get a better visual of it. But you'll also notice that as part of this project, it doesn't come into the board, but all this area right here, right now, is where trees used to be that have died, and we've had to take down a number of trees. And as part of the project that we're going to do is we wanted to grass a lot of this in so that the runoff and stuff could be absorbed. The one thing you can't see is down in the corner over here in this area towards the back of the lot. We currently have a storm drain down there that all the water is running to anyway. And we felt that by putting some of the grass in and make the backyard look nicer, but also absorb some of the water that's going down there. So that was part of our thinking there. So we're trying to help. Here's a picture of the finished product. So right now, basically the patio comes out to about 2/3 of the way across the strip, and we're just adding 10 feet there, is what we're looking at doing. Again, it makes it a nice smooth transition as you come out the back, and covers that so we can use it. You can't tell by this picture, but by Tim's original plat map, you realize we are looking out into a wooded lot and at the golf course. So it helps our views with that too. So anyways, that's all I have to say. Do you have anybody have any questions on that?
Can I ask a question? According to the plat that I see that Tim gave us, it's approximately 65 feet from that new patio to the back of your property line. Is that correct?
It must be at least that far.
So it's a long way.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's quite a ways. I mean, we're basically, if you go back to this picture here, this little bit of grass that we have, we're basically going to go out another 1.5 to 2 times that to put grass in. So I don't know if you can visually see it, but
I just saw the 65 feet, and that's a long way, and I do want to make sure that was correct.
yeah.
Okay.
We have
Let me ask you a question. If I'd say if
Sure,
I've
John.
got you now, Don.
this is John Thermos asking a question, or a comment / question. If I'm a forester by trade, I'll just make the statement that the thing it could really do to improve the runoff situation back there is plant trees. They improve things much more than grass would. Have you thought about that?
Yes, actually, you can't see it, but there are going to be some planting zones on either side. And we do plan on putting some additional trees there. One off to this side of the house, if you can see my cursor. Actually, we want to put a couple of trees over there. Again, more to block the golf balls that are coming our way. So, and then there's a natural area off to the other side between us and our neighbors that we have some trees there, but we'd like to fill it in a little bit more with shrubs and stuff too. So.
Well, that'll make them dual purpose trees, won't it?
Yes, yeah. And it's on the dual lot. So, yeah, John, one of the problems we've run into is I'm surprised at the number of trees that have come down. As a forester, is there anything we could do to prevent the issue with the pine beetles?
Pine beetles, no. I mean, if it's, I don't know what's killing them. If it's southern pine beetle, no, there's really nothing you can do about it. The prescription for dealing with pine beetles is to take down the tree and all the others right around it.
That'll leave me with nothing. Yeah.
Okay. No, if that's what's actually killing them, my guess is more like when was this house constructed?
3 years ago.
Yeah, my guess is more likely it's root damage on the trees on the front edge, on the edge closest to the house, as landscaping was done, causing damage to the trees.
Okay. Well, we could take it offline. Actually, we've been able to hear the pine beetles and see them in the trees. So. Yeah, it's been very discouraging. So, anyways,
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, it is. So,
does anyone else have any questions for the applicant? No other questions? I'll call for a vote.
Well, I got a question for Tim.
Yes.
Tim, when was the 35% limit put in place?
That was established with the PUD, with the Pine Forest Country Club.
Okay.
When they came in and established, and for those who may not be aware, a PUD, a planned development district, is a planned community that has effectively established their own zoning ordinance that governs the development of the property. So in many instances, what it does is it allows for some standard variances from the town's zoning ordinance, either directly, from the text, or establishing their own. In this case, what they did is they kind of established their own mini zoning ordinance, and that is what established that 35%, their lot sizes, their slightly different setback requirements than would have been available with either at the time our R1 or R2 zoning categories. So that's why we're varying the section 2.10, which is the plan development district section of the UDO.
Tim, does it play in at all that we've already been to the HOA and they've approved this?
No.
No. Okay.
No, they're mostly looking at the aesthetics of it. Oftentimes they don't actually do a good job enforcing the bulk restrictions and requirements of the actual document. They're just making sure that your pergola looks good more than does it meet the specific requirements as established.
Okay.
When this was developed.
Yeah, I just wondered if they were extension of the community or whatever, and they're approving it, but they're the ones that actually put it in place. They should be paying more attention to it. Sounds like, but anyway.
The developer and the HOA are two different things, but that doesn't necessarily.
Yeah, neither here nor there.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't apply in this particular instance. That being said, the zoning does stipulate a 35% lot coverage limit. So that is the question today is is there a hardship on the property? Does the applicant meet all four criteria to qualify for a variance according to the state standards? So,
Tim, one more question. So this, when this building was done, when this was done, it was above the 35% limit already, right?
When the applicant indicated that the house was built about 3 years ago. My guess is that it was at the 35% lot coverage limit when it was constructed. If you Russ, would you mind stop sharing your?
Oh yeah,
screen?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
All right, perfect. So I'm gonna share mine again. So if we look at this, it is a good sized lot, but we do have to remember that there's a good sized house on that lot, and there is a considerable amount of paving when you are talking about a 65 by 17 driveway to the side, an extra 24 by 14 pad, a 39 by 6 foot strip on the side, a 50 by 10 foot wide drive aisle. Anytime you start doing a horseshoe drive like this or a circular drive, it exponentially increases your lot coverage no matter what you do. The only way to potentially address that would be to shave existing lot coverage off to allow it to come in to what was existing prior. So if he wants to add a 10 by 15, he would have to shave 150 square feet of pavement off one of these areas to be able to allow it to move forward without a variance. He cannot expand the non-conforming status of the situation.
Tim, it's John Witherspoon. I'm just verifying in the packet that you submitted with the application or the applicant's notes, there is no allegation to meeting the extraordinary conditions or the other property exception. Is that correct?
That, I tried to explain what needs to be addressed. I'm not here to coach the applicants in how to
No,
get it
not at all. I understand that. I was just making sure that I didn't overlook something.
Yeah, no, this is exactly what was submitted by the homeowner. They don't, so in their own words, this is their interpretation of that. And obviously, there's a reason why I don't always go over these, address them directly, because of the fact that sometimes it doesn't necessarily apply all the time what they're addressing, or sometimes they just didn't address the 4 individual things. So thank you for asking about that.
All right. Is there any other questions or comments?
I'd like to follow up just on what Tim said. When you look at the plot map, you look at the size of the driveway, and he says, that's an unusually large, driveway, right? But part of the problem was we set the house back a bit to be in line with the other houses. We could have shortened the driveway, but it wouldn't have looked right. So, that's one of the reasons why the driveway, as long as it is a 3-car garage. So that's one of the reasons why it's as big as it is. It is a side entrance, right? You need that space to be able to pull in a vehicle in that space. And then the other thing is, this is kind of here nor there, but we've learned when I put the U-shaped driveway in, I did it because we saw how much vehicle traffic there is on Pine Valley Drive. And if people are coming to visit, it's not really a great idea to park on Pine Valley Drive with the amount of traffic and the speeds that are done. So part of that was done, with safety in mind. It doesn't help the environmental piece, but it certainly does help on the other piece of people being able to safely come visit us and stuff. And we have had a number of cases where, there's just people zooming by and, have narrowly missed people that have been walking close by in that area. So, it may look absorbent, but it was put in with, thought in mind. So. And just to note, I think it was John that brought it up. We have talked to neighbors on either side, and they're quite acceptable to it. They verbally said they didn't see any issues with it and stuff. So I don't think it'd be a detriment to the community, right?
And to address that, we did not receive any phone calls in regards to the sign that was posted. So no neighbors called with concerns. Nobody called to ask what it was. So at this time, there was no public input in regards to the application.
Hey, Tim, just so you know, just so you guys know, because sometimes you think you put those signs up there and nobody pays attention. We actually did have 2 neighbors that generally walk by, stop and ask about it. We told them what was going on and everything. They didn't have an issue with it. But I just want to let you know, people are reading your signs, by the way. So it is out there.
That's good.
So, yeah.
They didn't call me, though. So
yeah, well, they didn't call to complain, but they did call to ask they did stop by and ask us what it was about. So that was
I appreciate that information.
Yep.
All right. Any other further questions or comments before we take a motion to vote? I got Danny on the phone. He just said he doesn't have any questions. Do I have a motion to, somebody might want to make a motion to vote? Can I make a motion to vote? Tim?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, I make a motion that we take a vote. I vote that I make a motion. I got mixed up. Make a motion that we approve the request. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, we got a second from John. Can you take a roll?
Well, you need to ask for discussion, Don.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
We need discussion.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, well, we haven't really discussed it. We just asked questions. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna be that guy here and vote. I seconded it just so we could move ahead. I'm gonna be that guy and vote against it first because for two reasons. One is the kind of the broader reason that it is, according to the state rules, we're not allowed to give this one. And the second is because I think flooding in the low country is a massive problem. And you know, while obviously 300 square feet of roof isn't gonna be the camel that breaks, you know, the straw that breaks the camel's back. If we keep doing this, we keep paving and covering everything, it just is exacerbating the flooding problem. So I will vote against the motion.
And I think for myself, it's just probably the opposite. I'm going to vote in favor of it because I can't see where 10 feet or whatever it is extra paving than what's already there is going to make a whole lot of difference to the overall pine forest area. And being 65 feet from the property line, that's I think the normal setback is what, 25, 35 feet or something like that. So I'm not going to have a problem with it.
And I'm going to join in with John's basically denial of it, because I don't see from the strict reading of the variance that we can even allow it, because it doesn't meet the ordinary conditions in the other property aspect of it. So I'm going to be voting against it.
All right. Do you have anything to add, Danny? I got Danny still on the phone.
No, I just.
Can y'all hear Danny talking on my phone?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I didn't hear a lot of the pros for doing this. My view is just put a roll-up warning in the back and let it be that way, and not disturb the flow of the water, or since they've got so many square footage of paved area and building. I'm going to be against it.
All right. Anybody else have any discussion before we take it to a vote?
Yeah. Am I allowed to bring anything up?
I think so.
At the end, we'll allow the board members to discuss, and then if they will allow you to rebut or ask any additional questions, they can do that. So I think Lionel's the only one who has not said anything. Mr. Lawson, do you have any comments?
I'm ready to vote, not necessarily comment.
Okay.
All right. Can we let the applicant say what he wants to, Tim?
Sure.
So I would just like to know historically, so you've never approved one of these in Pine Forest?
No, we have, unfortunately. It is a situation that...
So why is this one being turned down and the other ones were approved? That's all I want to know.
Well, what I can say is this, is that though there may be a precedent for allowing it, that may have been approved under a different set of board members. These board members may prioritize adherence to those criteria, the 4 criteria that are mandated by the state of South Carolina, that all municipalities are required who have zoning ordinances and boards of zoning appeals. Those are the things that these should be judged by. So yes, they may have been smaller, and I can't speak to every single one, but it is a situation that it is up to the board to determine whether or not those 4 criteria have been met, and it is up to the board to vote on the individual merits of the applications.
Okay, so you have previously approved them. This one you've decided not to, but nobody can give.
Well, the vote hasn't been taken, and
okay.
and
I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah, it is the board's
right
choice. So
I just asked them to, for this little bit that you're saying, right? Think about the other ones that have been approved. Why was there different, right? That's all I asked for. right? Maybe some of the board members can say.
And let me respond in a sense. I have never voted for that kind of thing, and the inability to answer your question is a reason that I am going to vote against it, because I don't want to have to answer that question going forward. Is why why allow it here and not there, unless it's an extraordinary condition, right, that clearly differentiates one situation from the other. So that's my answer. Is I'm going to vote against it here. I would have voted against it last year. I wasn't on the board. I don't know when and if it happened before, but
that's fair, John. I mean, it's good to know that anything that comes up to the zoning board that doesn't meet this requirement, you guys are going to reject. So, I mean, whether it's a small person or a large development, you're going to adhere to the state rules. So that's good to know.
Well, I will.
Hold on, Danny wants to say something, so I've got him on speakerphone, so listen carefully. I don't know how well you'll be able to hear. Go ahead, Danny.
All right. I don't recall, and I've been on the BZA for quite a few years, this ever coming up again, up before, when you say about pine forest. Okay? And everybody's situation is taken into consideration separately. As we have gone either supported and not supported. It's not a consistent thing. It's just everybody gathers up the circumstances and you look at what's existing, okay? And what I summarized from what I saw in your plans is that you already exceeded, you were granted what you have, okay? So now you want to do is get some more area, okay? And I am familiar with pine forest and area in the drainage, and my personal observation is the drainage system is a great problem out there. Okay, the ponds can't even support all of it, and they keep trying to enlarge them. So it is a problem, and that's how I look at it. Is what's happening now. Over the years, in that area, pine forest has had more and more problems with the drainage. Okay, the draining pipes are failing. There's a lot of work going on trying to solve the problems, and it's a problem right now. And I think you may not realize it, but that's my observation. So.
I totally agree with you, because I can see it in my backyard every time it rains, right? A large part of my backyard does have water in it for a while as the drains take some time to settle through. And, a lot of it's coming off the golf course, right? But, I do understand what you're saying, so completely.
Well, the other thing that's happening is other areas of pine forest is having a problem too, because your streets are flooding. And 10 years ago, your streets did not flood.
Right.
Your environment, it's almost like it's sinking. Maybe it's because all the trees are disappearing and everything like that. But part of it, So it's a problem, and like Don said, well, it's only going to be a difference of 10 feet. Well, I think it's more. Actually, it's more than 10 feet if you consider what the size of your screened in area. But that water is not going to be absorbed anymore in your yard. You're going to lose that, and it's going to flow elsewhere. Okay, I mean, the city and the county did a lot of work last year and the year before because of failures of piping and everything. And the golf course area suffered by itself, okay? As did other places where the ponds, the drainage ponds are all connecting. And those areas are having big problems. So, I think one instance is not much, but then, if we keep going on the way we are going on, it's going to get more and more problems, and you, as a homeowner, is going to suffer for it too. But anyway, that's what.
That's all good input. I understand. I appreciate it. So, I mean, we're just trying to do the right thing by coming for the board. So.
Right. And I'm surprised that your homeowners, your board didn't make their feelings known.
Yeah. I do plan to talk to Miles about it. Yeah.
Maybe it's because where your sign is off the beaten path. I don't know. So.
I don't know. Whatever. Okay.
All right.
Thanks for the feedback.
All right. Is there anyone else want to make some comments? Otherwise, we'll call for a vote. Tim, you want to?
Yep, I will run through the roll call. So I will start with John Thermos.
No.
John Witherspoon.
No.
Lionel Lawson.
No.
Dennis Chiklis.
No.
And Don Nye.
All right, I'll vote yes. Don't want to make it unanimous.
All right, thank you.
Now, Tim, does the applicant have a go to court for another opinion?
Technically, the appeal of a Board of Zoning Appeals decision does go to the circuit court. If you want to change your proposed plan, we are happy to work with you to potentially get that moved forward so we can get you the covered patio that you're looking to get. You do have to wait at least 1 year before reapplying for the same variance. So,
hey, Tim, let me ask you this question. If I was to put a wood deck up there, it wouldn't matter, right?
If it is constructed in a manner that is a pervious surface, and what we would do is we can talk to our engineering department to determine whether or not they would accept that as a pervious surface. Yes, I mean, if you want to do deck some sort, but you just need to make sure that you don't put like the plastic down and the gravel on top. There are ways to construct it to maintain the permeability of your yard.
Right. So just as long as the board realizes that, right? So as long as I put a wooden deck across it, right, I can still end up doing the same thing. So
as long as you're not, as I said, doing anything to the ground underneath the deck.
Correct.
But yes, that would count as but no, you're putting a roof over it. Any roof is going to count as an impervious surface.
Okay. So, but an awning doesn't because it's movable?
If there's a roof, it counts as either way, the patio is going to be the problem with this instance. If it's a deck with a awning, then no, it would be pervious. As long as the water can get through. So, but if you'd like to discuss it further, I will be back in the office on Thursday. I think he signed off.
All right.
So I did not include anything, any additional information in your packets, but we do have under miscellaneous discussion of the UDO. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard, I would assume all of you, but the town council had a vote to repeal the UDO and replace it with the zoning that was in place prior to the adoption of the UDO in October of 2019. They've directed staff to talk to our various boards and try to compile a recommendation of sections that need to be saved and sections that might be problematic. Is do any of you have any specific things that you would like to address in regards to this? I understand if you're not fully prepared to, not having read it or not having worked with it enough over time, but like Don, Lionel, Dennis, you all have been working with it since its passage. Have you seen any significant difference in any of the projects that have come through, or has it been consistent with what was going on prior? I mean, what's your opinion on that?
This is Dennis.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a big change, okay, between what we used to have and what we have now. And even if you go as a picture book itself, looking through what it has changed, it's enormous. Even though it's it's limited, it's not the whole town, but it's those districts. I think it's had a big impact. And just like this fellow coming up today, it makes a difference. Okay. And almost every request we've had in the past year, a lot of it is because of the change. So, anyway, that's my view. I keep going back to it and going through those pages just about for every meeting, just trying to find it and see what the difference, how it is. And I know from my old job, of course, that's 20 years ago. It's horrendous, the changes that we've made, and some are for the better, and some are not.
Is there something that sticks out in your mind specifically that is that you can detail that is part of that change? What is there a specific item that you think,
okay,
good or bad, whatever example you want to give?
Yeah, here's one big thing: moving the structure of building structures closer to the road, because now you don't have grass or anything like that. You've moved everything up basically to the sidewalk, and the sidewalk's right up, basically up to the curb. That in itself, it's changing the character of the town. Okay, so we're going to be more and more like New York City versus, well, anyway, that's what it is.
Well, and that's what I'm asking is I want to know what all of you think, good or bad. If there's something specific, we're trying to get an idea as to what we absolutely have to save, what we think needs to go. Is it get rid of all of it, and go back and start from scratch, or is it, do we fix the items that may be problematic instead of just throwing the whole thing out? I guess I'm just looking for some more input.
I think we have to review that ourselves.
And if you would like to, put something together and address that, maybe not here or next month when we have a full-time meeting or a face-to-face meeting, we can do it that way as well. If you'd like to send me an email, whatever the case may be, we're happy to take as much input as possible.
Because, all right, I agree with that. It would be nice to have a hard copy versus having to go on the computer and go back to page by page that way. That makes it very difficult for me, anyway. So, even though I had a copy of it before it was approved.
Okay. I think I actually have a spare one. It's not the most recent. It doesn't reflect the minor text amendments that we did have. But I could give it to you, and if you're interested, you mark up something that you might see. Maybe we just pass it around. I know they're working on trying to do it in a short manner. So it is a 300+ page document, and I know that there's a lot in there that you guys don't see ever. You guys are usually looking at chapter 2, really, is the bulk restrictions, setbacks, lot coverage, building height. Those are the things that typically come before you. A couple of the additional things that came before the board would be the special exceptions. The special exceptions for short-term rentals, as well as we did a special exception for the night market over at the Cuban Gypsy over on Doty. Those were not part of the Board of Zoning Appeals purview prior to the UDO. So I think that it was helpful. I mean, STRs were technically, short-term rentals were technically illegal prior to the passage of the UDO. So being able to allow people to use their property in that manner and regulate it properly, make sure that it's safe and it fits within the character of the neighborhoods that they might be occupying, that I think went a long way to an improvement in that limited area of the ordinance. So, but that's my opinion. I'm not here for mine.
Okay.
All right.
I have no other comment.
Anyone else have any comments or questions about the UDO? Did Jessie, since she's on the call, want to add anything? Or is she just listening?
She might not be home yet. She was just listening. As I said, she was in transit. So she didn't think that she was going to fully participate as part of this discussion.
Okay. All right.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you all. And we're in person next month, as far as you know, Tim, right?
As far as I know, if something changes between now and then, I will let you know up front.
I look forward to it.
Thank
All
you all.
right, thank you, gentlemen.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Good
Take
night.
care, everybody.